I'm Derf. I'm originally from Richfield, Ohio, and currently I'm here in bucolic Cleveland. I started originally in college at Ohio State in the early 80s doing political cartoons, mainstream political cartoons, which were god awful. But it was the first time that anyone in a big way noticed my work. So, that was quite a buzz, and I'm still chasing that buzz. That early work is not even recognizable as mine. And I did that for a while and then got tired of it and began working in a completely different way to do The City, which was a very heavily stylized sort of post-punk enterprise. And my work changed dramatically, and that went on for a while. And after about 10 years, then I decided to try long-form storytelling, and I changed again. So I've really had kind of three careers. And there's been some overlap, but I've always been a very restless creator. We all work in different ways, so and it's worked for me, and all that matters is where you are now. So finally, after 3 reboots, I've finally found what I was looking for. Well, I'm a graphic novelist, which is a lofty term for a person who makes big-ass comic books. I tend to write from, if not experience, at least observation. So I like to write things that I'm familiar with, things that happen around me. I look for stories that haven't been told. I don't like to do things, work over ground that's been really heavily trodden. And I think that there's a lot in real life, even if it tends to be absurd, that is there that makes interesting stories. I did a comic strip for many years called The City, which was just that. It was my take on living in a big city, in this case Cleveland. And that was very observational. It was also it was very free form, which didn't work out very well in terms of marketing. But the centerpiece of it were these true stories. And that was observational stuff. That was me walking around town and encountering something strange or something profound or something bizarre or something sad that sort of happened in front of me, just a little slice of life in 4 panels. So yeah, those were observational, and I would write them down very quickly, usually on a scrap of paper or napkin or whatever I had available around me, and then come home and draw it up. The trend now in comics, particularly mainstream comics, which doesn't really apply to me, but it's almost, it's like one Cintiq book after another, and it's just like, Jesus, man, back off the airbrush, will you? This is just ridiculous, and it looks kind of kitschy. It doesn't look good. It's really garish, and there are a lot of people out there who've mastered the Cintiq but haven't mastered, the art of making comics. So, and that's always been that way. So, I tend to be, surprisingly, I guess, knowing the content of my work, fairly traditional when it comes to actually making my work. But all that counts is what's in it. All that counts is the story and what you're saying, not how you do it. If you stick a brush between your toes and draw with your feet, who cares? As long as all that matters is what it looks like at the end.
Do you think in doing hand to paper, is there something about that in the final book is captured? Do you think you can?
Well, there's a big difference. Oh, sure. You can tell the difference between a hand-drawn line and,
a vector or whatever.
a line. Well, vectors, yeah, or pixels. You can definitely tell the difference. I'm not a Luddite. I was actually one of the first generation of Mac artists. I was working on that little Mac tower in 1984. So, I was always kind of in front of that. But when it comes to comics, I actually tend to be fairly traditional. I draw by hand, entirely by hand, on paper with a pen. Not because, I'm scared of technology. Obviously not. I like the physical act of drawing. I enjoy it. like pen dragging across paper. I think it's human.